give their babies Instagrams. All right, what's going on? We are live. It is the 1st of August. Holy moly, we are in August already.
Oh,
2016.
I protest.
This is unbelievable. But we are in the 1st of August, 2016, and this is episode 149 of the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast. One away from that illustrious 150. We're getting there. I am your host, Brian, from Seacoast Beverage Lab, and we have a panel here, as usual, talking about the good beer things, and I'm kicking it off. I got two beers. One that I'm drinking right now is the Farnham Ale and Lager Hefeweizen out of the Farnham Ale and Lager Brewery in South Burlington, Vermont, and it's pretty tasty. I do enjoy it. I picked it up at Spruce Creek in Kittery. If you're in Kittery, Maine, if you're listening worldwide, Kittery, Maine has a great beer store called Spruce Creek Provisions that you need to go to.
I think you say 7-Eleven.
Oh no! Also,
awesome.
So if you're in Kittery, you can also go to 7-Eleven and Carl's Meat Market and find whatever you need, from Tostito to what are those little Tootsie Roll Totitos, whatever. And then also on the backup, I got an Island Day from Slum Brew that I also picked up there. Haven't had it. Actually, I haven't had a Slum Brew beer in maybe since they were on the podcast, so this will be an interesting one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. I've still been drinking the Happy Souls.
I saw that there, and I almost picked it up too, but yeah, it's been a while. It's one of those things where you just don't forget about it, but they weren't anywhere close to me until they just got to Maine, so we're good to have them here in cans especially, so, and it's sweating, so that means I have to drink this beer fast, move on to this beer, so let's get to it. Carla, what's happening?
What's up? I am here drinking a Jack Savvy. Thank you very much for bringing this to me, guys. This is the Beer Geek Helles. Helles has become like a little pet favorite style of mine now, and this was really good. So it's that really kind of nice, just crispy, really good beer. It's got that just a little bit of slight sweetness on it, and it's perfect. Yep.
I was gonna say the show art for last episode or 2 episodes ago is you outside holding up a Von Trapp Helles. So I mean, the heat is on.
Yep. So not proof is in the pudding there.
Big shout out to Jack Savvy for providing us with some of their beers. Friends of the show, obviously, we got to get them on again. But the Beer Geek Helles is legit. Them in New England Brewing Company, right?
Correct. Yep, out of Connecticut.
Sweet. And more into Maine, please.
More, send them. Shano, what up, bud?
I'm Sean Jansen from twobeerguys.com. I'm currently drinking a Night Shift Hefeweizen, which is a sour ale aged with strawberries, kiwis, and hibiscus, coming in at a heavy 3.0% ABV.
It's a good-looking bottle too. They have great. It's a nice update on the label. Last I seen it, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean or Carla, for if you've come across some Night Shift as the train comes by, but does Night Shift do a sour-ish beer in cans? So I know they do mostly the pales and the IPAs in cans, but they don't. I don't know if they've.
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
And that's. I mean, I wasn't expecting an answer, but I just didn't know if.
The only Night Shift I've seen available for sale in cans so far that I've come across, but that we get a limited distribution though, so has been non-sours.
Yeah. Like Whirlpool and Santilli and things like that.
But they were the main Brewers Guild Fest though, and that was awesome.
Nice, yeah, and I wonder if they're going to use some of that. Was it $3 million loan to do some canning of some of the sour beers? Be nice.
So from their website, just a quick scan.
Yeah.
It looks like, as you mentioned, Whirlpool, Santilli, Awake, Firth, which is their Hefeweizen.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
The 87, which is a double IPA, Morph American IPA, Pfaffenheck, which is a German-style Pilsner.
Real good.
And Trifecta, which is their Belgian Pale Ale. Oh, sorry, one more. One Hop this time, which is an American IPA. Those are the ones that are currently in cans.
Okay, yeah, and that's cool. I wonder if they will ever have kind of either a Berliner or a sour in cans, because it seems they do really well with their sour program there. So
maybe just seems natural that it would be next.
Yeah, maybe some of that quiche is going there. Do you have it in a glass, or are you drinking it straight from the bottle?
I am drinking from a wonderful glass.
I was going to see what it looked like. Nice, looking good. Well, listen, because I actually did a lot this time. Usually I come back and I'm like, yeah, I did nothing. I woke up, I had a beer, and that's pretty much it. But I got a lot done this week in terms of beer that I'm pretty excited to talk about because a new brewery opened up, I want to say about a month or so ago, more than that, in Portsmouth called Liar's Bench. If you guys have heard, they popped up. It's a small system. It's like in a business parky area on Islington Street in Portsmouth. But the beers that they're turning out, I heard early on that they were great. But just as I do, I let it kind of ferment, if you will, for a month or so before I go check it out. And the beers are great. I remember having they had I think it's called Fancy Pants or France Pants, a pale ale. They also had an IPA, a saison, and a Kolsch, which was I mean, I'm a Kolsch guy. It's awesome. I know, Carlos, you mentioned you're into the Helles, but the Kolsch I recommend when you get down.
Yeah, Kolsch is good. A well-made Kolsch.
And so I got a little sampler flight and then a growler of the saison to go, and I look forward to trying more of their beers. Good stuff. I believe there's a connection in there between Moxie, Franklin Oyster House, and Liar's Bench, so it's kind of like the same family. So if you can imagine the amount of focus that Moxie and Franklin Oyster House puts on their food, imagine who's at the helm, running the beer program at Liar's Bench. It's got to be something good. So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They usually have 4 beers on draft, and you go in there. And I'm not saying you go in there every day, but if you go in there semi-regular, you'll go in and there'll be always a different lineup.
Yeah, and I think I left when they took something else off and they put the saison on when I got there, but it was good. It was also hot as hell. So I mean, give me a Kolsch in the coldest day and I'm fine. But the Kolsch was needed in the hottest day. It was great. They didn't make it to the festival though that Sean and I went to. Sean, if you want to get into that, but this weekend was the Granite State Brewers Association Brewers Fest, basically comprised of all or as many as they can brewers that can come down that are part of the GSBA here in the Granite State. In Manchester, was it Arms Park? Is that what it's called?
Yep, Arms Park over by formerly Millie's Tavern, now Stark Brewing.
Yeah, and I mean it was a fantastic day for it. Maybe hot. I don't know if you found out when you got home, Sean, but I had sunburns on my calves, hard sunburns.
Yeah, I was definitely sunburned. There wasn't a lot of shade.
Yeah,
there was a big tent, very little space for the patrons to get underneath it. I think we counted 40 or 41 breweries.
Yep, just about.
Were in attendance. Most of the breweries are the breweries that have been around a little bit longer. But there's a couple new guys, including Milliard. I know Lone Wolf. We don't get too much of it. They're from Wolfboro, but I think this is actually their third year of being in attendance.
Yeah, I mean, and to talk about the aroma. If a beer could win an aroma award, that Lone Wolf Cascadian Dark Ale was you smelled it, and I was immediately transported back to Bloggers Conference in Portland. I'm like, this is a Cascadian Dark Ale, and it was good.
It was awesome.
So I hope they do more of that. But yeah, Milliard Stout was good. A lot of the rookies showing up.
I think you mentioned you were really digging the throwback beer that they made for the event.
Yes.
What was it called? It was a coconut porter, right?
Yeah, I forget what it was called though. Something with donkey in it.
It wasn't Don Quixote.
No, I thought they named it.
That's one of their beers, but it's not.
I'll look it up. But yeah, it was funny because it was a simultaneous check-in between my wife and I. My wife, who was not in attendance because my wife that day was Sean. I took him to the fest, and but she was at it was called Scapegoat Coconut Porter, and she was at the brewery trying it. Said it was fantastic. I had it at the same time. Said it was really good. But yeah, it was good. And like I said before, I don't usually pair beers with temperature. It doesn't really matter. But when it's super super hot out, kind of stayed away from some of those darker beers that day. But there were a lot of good dark beers at that fest. But just kind of little hot. But Sean and I would recommend this. We don't really talk. We talk a lot about tips, but we don't really mention this one. But Sean and I made a game of the festival where we would go. There's two sides to the. It was you do a loop and you can get both sides of the beer fest. And okay, on this first pass, we'll do breweries that have an animal in the name or the logo, and just go down the line and do that. The next one, female pourers, good. Or breweries from the 90s, so
Oh, that's fun!
Yeah, and it was we were just a couple gals having a good time, but
a bingo card. Yeah, you have to check it out, like a
Yes.
scavenger hunt. You have to have somebody,
should do
somebody
that.
wearing a dumb hat, somebody from a brewery that it has a, dog in the name or something.
Yes.
Like, that's fun.
It actually makes you walk around a lot too.
Definitely. 'Cause,
So.
I mean, it's too easy to go like to the first one and then to the second one, and like
Come on,
once
go
you.
drink.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, the brewers don't really care. Like, if they see you next to them and they don't see you immediately next in line, they're not going to be pissed because they're going to be there all day. And with this fest being 5 hours, Sean and I just wanted to hydrate and walk in a circle and
That's
make
cool.
sure that. But it was cool. And then I think it was like, I forget who it was, but I trying to pre-calculate. Okay, there's not that many women pourers, so let's do that this time. And on the back end, we're like, wait, did they just sub out? And all of a sudden, all the ladies are now pouring. Like, what just happened? Like, we got totally screwed on that one, but it was fun.
It was meaning like every table in a row.
Right? Yeah, it was just like they weren't pouring before. Like, you remember it gets messed up. But yeah, no, it was cool. What if I can give you a standout, or Sean, can you give me a standout beer from the fest that you had, maybe, or two?
I liked the cream ale that we had from Seventh Settlement.
Yes. Oh, nitro style. It was good.
Yeah, and then I remember Moat Mountain had a.
Was it
what
the
was
sour
this?
hipster?
It was the sour hipster,
Yeah, it was
which
good.
was a Hefeweizen, a German Hefeweizen aged in Chardonnay barrels.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was
Wow.
I was kind of expecting like this big mouthfeel of like a German hef and that like banana clove, and it was a little bit tart and
Thing.
more barrel-like, more wood-like. It was both were very interesting. Yeah.
It sounds very different. I don't think I've ever had anything like that. That's kind of cool.
And I'd say shout out to Stark. They had a good, I believe it was a Pilsner we had tried, Sean, that was there. Tasty stuff.
I had from Martha's Exchange. They had an oyster stout,
Yes.
which wasn't on the radar. It was a little bit different. It was a little different vibe than the Maine Brewers Guild Fest. And I don't know why. I think just the beer styles that were there were more traditional at the New Hampshire Fest, where everything was sort of off the wall.
It was funny you should mention that, because it seemed like the ones that had like the double IPAs or the IPAs were like the newer brewers, right? That at this fest that we were at, there weren't many double IPAs that I can remember that were there.
Well,
you would think.
They also were probably thinking like, hey, what's the temperature?
Well, I mean, but can they change up on the day like that?
Yeah, they're all bringing what they want.
Yeah.
So there was no beer list.
Yeah.
That was one of the challenges.
To be published, at least.
Yeah, there was no published beer list, just the breweries who were going to be in attendance. So you kind of had to, what was there was there.
That was tough to find too. The brewers list. I got to find someone to change that up again, because there wasn't a good way to find who was going. Which doesn't really matter if you have a ticket, but if you just say 40 brewers, I just want to know who they are.
Yeah.
But cool map. We saw Dave from Growler Tours. Sean took us to Speakeasy.
What?
Which we've talked about before. I think Sean talked about it.
We've talked about it. Yeah.
You have a speakeasy? What?
Yeah, it's right in downtown Manchester. Called 815. And this one you walk up some stairs and you have to give the password in a phone booth.
Oh, neat.
Yes.
And instead of doing the password, we actually did a knock-knock joke instead, which is the other option.
If you don't know the password, you have to tell them a knock-knock joke?
Yeah.
Right. We knew what the password was, but we wanted to tell a knock-knock joke anyways.
That's funny.
Sean, tell her the knock-knock
Is the joke appropriate for work? Can we?
It's appropriate for family, friends. It's probably my favorite of all time. Go, Sean.
I gotta get the right wording for it.
I know what it is. You want me to go for it?
Yeah, you do it.
All right, knock knock.
Who's there?
Little old lady.
Little old lady who?
I didn't know you could yodel.
That is a dad level joke. That's good.
It is solid, and I think we looked up like BuzzFeed top knock knock jokes. But
little old lady who?
But and I thought, no offense to any other hipster speakeasies. I mean, Lincoln doesn't make this list because Lincoln has beer on tap and things like that. But I'm thinking the speakeasies that might just serve like cocktails or whatever. But no, this 815 has a great draft list. Huge bottle list. Yeah, and they just tapped a Stoneface one that I never had. So it was pretty cool to be way away from Stoneface, but having something that I haven't had from them. So It's pretty cool. Good on them. And yeah, it was just weird. Like all of a sudden, the door slides open, and you're like, "Oh, come on in." Lastly, and before anyone wants to hop in, I went to that next morning at 9:30. I went to York River Landing and did a deciduous brunch, which was awesome. I kept double checking the time because 9:30 was way too early than I thought. And I'm like, it can't be 9:30. I don't think I've had a beer before 11 since like forever.
One of the bloggers conferences, probably.
Definitely, but yeah, and then, like sure enough, it was 9:30.
Or you're traveling in the airport, and it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I show up. We showed up. And there's probably 20 people there. Nick Evans, the guy that runs the joint, and is like one of the smartest beer guys I know, greets you with the deciduous Renaissance porter, saying, here's your coffee for the morning. It was his birthday too, so he's like, this is the way I want to celebrate my birthday is with friends, having a beer brunch. So he kind of, went out of his way on his birthday to have it. But Dave and Frank from Deciduous were there. The food was ridiculous, and good, that is. And the beer pairings were great. And it was nice to see because Deciduous was not at the Granite State Fest, but it was good to have them at least once that weekend.
Did you ask them why they weren't there?
No. I don't want to be that person. It's like, trust me, the question was in the air. Like I wanted to say, why weren't you there? But
you could be like, oh, I was at the Association Fest. It was an awesome time.
Yeah, and
just kind of see how it rolled.
And come to think of it, their beers would have been perfect because a lot of their lower ABV Berliners and stuff would have been killer.
A huge volume. I mean,
So maybe it had something to do with scheduling in that they had this plan for this weekend. Who knows? I mean, but the beers that they paired with all the food was really good. And if you guys are, I've mentioned Kittery before, but if you find yourself in the York area, definitely check out York River Landing. And if they have a beer dinner, go for it because their chefs are like wizards. It's weird. Like we're having breakfast, and I'm like, this is sheer gluttony. What's happening right now? But in like the best way. It was really good.
Now, was it better than the breakfast we had the day before, which I thought you were going to
we didn't even mention it. Okay, Sean. Okay, so I'll pass the ball to you, Sean. How was your week? And then talk about that, and then we'll go to Carla.
Yeah, so when Brian and I kind of went back and forth, we were like, okay, let's go to the Brew Fest. And I was like, okay, what time would you like to leave or would you like to meet? And I was throwing out some times. I think Brian was kind of like, this guy's all crazy. So I was like, hey, why don't we go out to breakfast at like 9 o'clock, fuel up. We can go around, if we have extra time, go around. There's a couple places that would be open beforehand, get to the festival, not have to really wait and whatnot. So we were looking online, and we both had known about, is it the Red Arrow Diner?
Red Arrow Diner, yep.
Yeah, and there's actually 3 of them in New Hampshire. And so we kind of like, okay, we'll go there and we'll just like get some food beforehand. So we decided to go to the Red Arrow in Londonderry, which is the same exit as 603, and it's basically like this 603 is like almost right across the street if you could see through the small woods that's there.
Dude, I just looked at your Instagram picture.
Yeah. So
food.
So we're sitting there. We come in and we sit at the bar. I mean, it's a pretty good crowd in there. And we have there's a guy and his wife that came in, and they were on their way to Cape Cod that we were chatting with, going back and forth. He's kind of making fun of us and whatnot. But we looked at the menu and we were like, wow, this is cool. They have a 20-piece coffee mug of bacon. So it's served to you in a wrap, but all the bacon's like straight up, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get that to split, and along with what we have for our breakfasts. So Brian got this big spread, like eggs and some other meats and breads, and I got a mixture of all different sides. So we're eating this bacon, and we're like, whoa,
we're not gonna make it.
I was like, maybe we should go on to like the 5 or the 10-piece because this is just crazy. So
they had other increments. So this was
increments. But
so in the photo that I put on the show notes, the red mug is what we got, which housed 20 pieces, but the white cup on the left would have housed 10.
Wow.
But we thought 20 would be fine. 20 would be easy.
Yeah, 20 would be easy.
Yeah,
and that
with all that other stuff.
But yes, and this is like maple cured bacon that tasted like Thanksgiving ham. It was so good.
Like so before you're like, okay.
So where are these Arrow diners? I need to go to.
There's like 3 of them, right, Sean?
Londonderry, Manchester, and Milford.
And this one was great. Oh man, and the guy that we had, stand-up guy. He worked 3 years at the Manchester one and just knew everything about everything. It was great.
Yeah, just loved to serve people breakfast, which was really cool. We were literally like, I can eat 10 pieces of bacon on a good day, and we were like, we had a big day ahead of us.
Yep.
So I think both of us after like 5 pieces in, and seeing how much bacon was still in the cup, we were like, I don't think we can eat it. And this guy next to us was starting to egg us on, saying like, you guys have to eat it. It was like he was making fun of us for not being able to eat all the bacon.
Like pocket, like we do the fest. How awesome would that be?
Yeah. Well, then I guess for $5 more, you can keep the cup, you can keep the mug. So I'm like, maybe we should just spend it and like brought it with us. But yeah, it was looking good. Good stuff.
Well, we actually powered through it and finished it.
You got it done. Okay, good for you.
We got done, but I mean, we
that
were.
puts a weird base on before going to a brew fest.
You're really supposed to do the pancake and the carb thing. You're not really. I mean, like if you really want to absorb the alcohol.
And I didn't know I was that hungry. I don't know about you, Sean, but for some reason I knew what was coming ahead, so I just wanted to like get rid of some of that, or put some more food in.
I wasn't hungry until the fest was over.
It's true. Oh yeah. Even then, I don't know how we ate food after that. Like I'm good till the next day. Yeah, it was weird. But man, that food was good. I got to go back there. That was nice.
So if anyone's in the area and up for it, or next year we're gonna do the 20-cup challenge, 20-piece cup challenge. Before we go to the GSBA Fest next year.
Yes, it has to be a new thing.
That's totally awesome.
And oddly enough, my most liked Instagram photo in a while, and it only had 34 likes. But I'm like,
you found the foodies. The foodies.
Yeah, it's true.
Food. I'll made for pictures of food. I don't understand.
Hey, but listen, if it takes a cup of bacon, I'll take pictures of bacon every day. It's fine.
I'll post a picture of the full spread that I have on Instagram, so you guys can see it later. Because I kind of put Brian and my food next to each other with the bacon in the middle.
Yeah.
But enough about us gals. Carla, what did you get up to this past weekend?
I actually spent a good part of Saturday morning in the heat on that really hot, humid day, going through all the leftovers from the Brewers Guild Swag's Tale that I had. So I opened up my garage and I had all these cardboard boxes of wet cardboard boxes from the Brewers Guild Fest. Long story. See last podcast for that whole drama. So I went through and I reorganized all that, and I was like, all right, it's 2:00. I'm getting the heck out of here and I'm getting a beer. Because I was like, I've done all the productive shit that I'm going to do in one day right now. I'm done. So I went down to Portland, as it like I do. Hit up Rising Tide. They had a beer on called Blooper, which is a barrel-aged wheat ale. It sounds like it was some kind of a mistake, but it was awesome. And it kind of reminded me of what you were talking about with the sour.
Okay.
But it wasn't sour so much as it was just tart and had that wood characteristic to it instead of having that Hefeweizen kind of taste. And it was really different. It was quite good. And then I had a Mida. But then because it's Yeast Bayside, I walked over to Urban Farm Fermenting. I had a sampler of their Gruit, which is they're now brewing beer like Earth Eagle does with no hops. Yeah, because they're known for basically their kombucha and their cider, obviously.
Yeah.
And now they're also doing Gruit.
How was it? You
can get a flight of 3 different types of their Gruit all together. And then I had one thing of kombucha too. And that was really, really good. They had a really neat variety of things going on. I've had their Gruit once before, and the 3 were totally different this time around. So I don't know how often they're brewing or how often they change it up, but
now UFF is where they've done the freshman orientation, right?
No, that was Coffee by Design.
Near there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Very close to there. They did that at the Coffee by Design, the big coffee roastery, but it's literally almost the same building. Like they're right in that neighborhood.
Close? No way.
Yeah. Basically, if you walk out of Rising Tide, next to Rising Tide is a distillery. If you walk across the road is that huge coffee roastery, and you can get coffee and whatever. Around the corner is UFF. Then there's Bunker, which is right there, which I went there next, and I had a salad days. Nobody out, which was kind of weird because it was like the first Saturday where it had cooled off, so I just had this feeling that people were being productive as opposed to going to beer gardens. I don't know. But so there were very few people at UFF. There were very few people at Bunker. And then I met Ben Moore, one of the beer bloggers up here, for dinner at Foul Mouth, which is our newest brew pub down in South Portland there.
Nice.
Awesome food, man. This is now the second time I've eaten there, and I'm like, oh. I had nachos that were literally, they were fresh. You know how like nachos are just supposed to be like the garbage you're getting rid of when you eat, it's like cheese and random crap. This was like, they made their own tortilla chips. They had like really fresh veggies all cut up on it. They had a cheese sauce that went on top. It was absolutely delicious, and I didn't feel like a piece of crap afterwards. You know what I mean? It was awesome. And then ended my night at Liquid Riot, and had a few beers there, and ran into the brewers who do Who Farted.
Oh, hey.
Who were in town doing a collab with Austin Street Brewing of all. So. Cool. The Austin Street Brewers walked in, and these guys walked in, and we're like, wait a minute, why are they all? Wait, who are they? And so we had a little brief chat with those guys, but that was really fun. So it was just circumstance. So I guess you'll see some kind of a collab coming out probably in a couple weeks about that. So I had no idea that was going on.
Nice.
Yeah, and those are the guys out of Connecticut. They've been doing I think that's Connecticut. They've been doing a lot of kind of crazy labels, hop forward, funky stuff. That has been getting a lot of attention up in this area, at least. I know I've seen a lot of people trading for it. In addition to that, so I kind of had a little bit of a beer weekend. I did find some stuff that got swirled up with the Maine Brewers Guild Fest that wasn't ours.
Nice.
So I've been also in between. I was running around and trying to, return them to their rightful places. I have a tiki head that was in the yurt. It belongs to the yurt, and I can't help but. You guys ever watch the Brady Bunch movie where they're all in Hawaii and they get the like cursed tiki hut thing? Like, I want this thing out of my possession because I'm like afraid that it's going to start cursing me. So that's my mission for the next coming week, is I have to figure out who can open up the yurt so I can just put it back in there and run away.
Run away fast.
Well, it's funny because, like, even when I was cleaning out the garage, I was like, oh, maybe I was mistaken. I don't really see it. And somebody, I think it was Mike, when he put it away, put it up on the shelf in our garage. So, like, I'm just looking around. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's not. Ah! Like, it scared the crap out of me. So, but I had a very beery weekend. This upcoming weekend, I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia for a family thing. I don't know if I'm going to have any time to go get any beer, but I have gotten some recommendations from people of good beer bars in the area should I go, but I'm going to be leaving on Friday and coming back on Sunday night, so I'm going to be kind of out of commission for the weekend.
So just one quick update. Hoof Hearted is in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio.
Really?
Yes. It's another state that I was like, don't know anything about their beer scene. That's what I got. Yes, Ohio. You're correct. That's true. Yeah. We're in Ohio.
Oh, I just had it up. It was a place I didn't recognize.
We'll never know. There's no other way of finding out.
And the only other thing, and I swear to God I say this every podcast, is that Dirigo Brewing has an unofficial opening date now.
I thought you were going to say there's another brewery opening up.
It's not official, but like by the time we have the podcast next week, it'll be official. So it's going to be mid-August. They've got beer. I've tasted it. It's very good. So they're looking forward to being that their little brewery in the little triangle in Biddeford there, and they're going to be serving out the brews. First couple of beers are not lagers because they wanted to get them out the door. Try, kind of get their beer out.
Yeah.
They are brewing a lager this week. They'll be ready in a couple weeks after that. So.
We got to get up there for a live podcast. We've been talking about live podcast a bunch, but it's time to do one.
I gotta figure out with their Wi-Fi situation.
Yes.
But it actually is a very pretty place as well. So if we could get down there, nice. It's a good place to be.
So Carla, what were you said that there's 3 total now in Biddeford?
Yeah. So there's the run of the mill. There's.
Well, is it run of the mill's in Saco, right?
Yeah, technically.
Well, it's like right there.
But it's
in that same close.
Triangle. So yeah. So technically, it's Saco has barreled souls and run of the mill, And then Biddeford has Banded Horn.
Okay.
And Virgo, but it's only because they're on the opposite sides of the river. So Run of the Mill and Banded Horn are very close to each other, and so are Banded Horn and Virgo.
I too often call Banded Horn Bidded Horn because I'm like, it's in Biddeford.
Yeah.
Banded Horn.
Banded Horn and Barreled Souls doesn't exactly like. I'm always afraid I'm going to say barreled. Yeah. Barreled hand horns and banded. Yeah.
But both of which only started out with like a couple beers now are killing it. Like, but I don't know what Barreled Souls what their plan is, but I love their draft list being long. But I like seeing Banded Horn's cans closer to me, which is nice.
I'm pretty certain that Barreled Souls is looking for a new place to get bigger.
Right. Yeah.
I've heard that they've been looking around, and then Banded Horn has a new back deck that you can sit on, so you kind of you're looking like a courtyard, not the river, but you're looking like one of those mill-yard courtyards. It's really quite awesome to hang out there, especially because in the afternoon it's a little bit shady back there. You're not in full sun, so it's a nice place to be outside without being like, completely exposed. So, so I got to go there a couple weekends ago, and it was pretty cool. So if you're into enjoying all of the summer outdoor spaces. The other thing I was saying right before I got on the podcast is that all these breweries now, a lot of the new ones that just opened up, they're like, hey, let's have an outdoor space too. So Company and Mass Landing just installed huge outdoor spaces. And I was saying that the picnic table business must be gangbusters right now in in Maine because they're all making these big outdoor spaces if they have any ability to do that at all. They're just getting out there and making these big places to hang out.
Funny you mention that because my next article that's coming out this week in the Herald mentions what breweries are doing like in the Seacoast like new, and two of which Neighborhood and Earth Eagle just recently opened up outdoor seating. So
pictures of Earth Eagles. I was like, holy crap.
So I went to Earth Eagle after I went to Lyra's Bench on Friday, and it's outside like, but the weird funky thing is, if they have outside, they have to hire a person just to specifically be outside. So if it's not a good day, you have an extra person on hire that might not be doing like much of anything. But they said weekends is great for it. Obviously, it's summertime, so it's always good. But it's a nice little place. You have to go through the brewery to get to it because of
they have it roped off.
Yeah, but it's fine. You can have some food out there, beers. It's nice. But then over down the street at Neighborhood, it's right outside the brewery. I'm pretty sure the rules are the same, but I haven't been out there since they've got the outdoor space. But yeah, it's kind of becoming the new thing. And then oddly enough, they're doing outdoor seating a lot in Portsmouth, and I saw Rira mention that you can get a discount on food if you bring your dog. And I'm like, man, that's the worst part about walking around Portsmouth is when people bring their dogs. But like if you have your dog sitting outside on the patio with you, it's like, man, no.
Or what if you want to eat there without having a dog next to you?
You don't get the discount and you get a dog in your face. So how's that sound? Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, the resurgence of outdoor seating in Portsmouth is upon us.
It's kind of ridiculous because you'd think that Portsmouth, of all places, they have so little real estate to do that on.
There's no real estate.
I thought that the Portsmouth, like, whoever the council is decides that type of stuff would be like, nuh-uh.
Oh yeah, I was just there today too. Around lunchtime, I had to get out of the office and walk around, and yeah, the people are like, oh, I thought my dog was friendly, but it's biting your other dog's face off.
Oh,
it's nice. Great. That's great. The sounds of Portsmouth, the church bells and the dog maulings.
Yeah.
Well, so I only had one article that I really wanted to talk about this week. I mean, if not briefly, as kind of a check-in to the whole beer bubble question. This came across my RSS feed about almost after we did it was this past Thursday, so after the podcast last week, and it's about brewery saturation in the state of Colorado. Now, in 2016, we've reached an all-time high of breweries at 4656, and that's in Colorado. There are more than 300, and there are dozens more in the works. And I know Maine is facing a similar situation where there's always some in the works. But in Colorado, or in some cities like Fort Collins, Colorado, there are as many as one brewery per 7,600 people, which far exceeds that of the national average in in the country. But it kind of goes on. It mentions that the first brewery there was in 1979, after the whole prohibition and all of that, which was Boulder Beer Company. And I just thought it was a good commentary on it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I recommend you guys read it. But I believe it says, one of the things that stood out to me, and you guys can let me know if you felt the same, kind of like what, the population to brewery ratio in 1873, if we were to have the same kind of ratio in this century, we would need to have 41,000 breweries opened. So.
Wow.
I guess we're talking about brewery per capita. So
Wow.
if those stats are right, and listen, Sean, what's his name? I'm sorry.
So he goes by Chipper Dave.
Chipper Dave. I was gonna say Chipper Dale. Yeah. So if Dave's stats are right, that is so crazy. 41,000 breweries just to have the same kind of feel as it was back in the day. Obviously, there's more people now.
Yeah, so to reference, there are 4,000 something breweries right now. That would be 10 times the amount of breweries in the whole U.S. right now.
So,
and he's got some good points at the bottom, kind of talking about the argument against bubble bursting and the arguments for bubble bursting. Where against, it's really that there are many many cities and large neighborhoods in Colorado that don't have a brewery yet. So as the population grows, that creates the opportunity for more breweries in those neighborhoods, as there are now.
Yeah.
But at the same point, he's saying that arguments that the bubble may burst is that the rate of expansion is slowing since 2014, and overall beer consumption in the U.S. is starting to go down as people look to alternatives, hard cider, hard liquor, mead, and wine. So some cities in Colorado actually have an unbalanced ratio of people to breweries. I think what actually throws it off to me also is that when you look at a lot of the data and the stats out there, one of the biggest things that are kind of talked about is IRI data, which is the scan data at either grocery stores or chain stores, or basically anybody that's sort of a chain outlet of purchasing alcohol. But what doesn't actually get factored into is that the breweries who don't sell in those outlets, but also B, the breweries and the quantities that they're selling direct. How are those numbers actually being calculated in the total whole when people are saying, oh, craft numbers are down or not, or actually craft? What I saw this past week was that craft was still at an 8% increase, but it's not the 22% increase that it had been seen over the last couple of years on average. So I think, and also there's a lot of data that's saying that restaurant sales are down, but is that actually being taken away from by yet again people selling in their tap rooms?
Yeah, and there's a lot changing about how we drink beer and where we drink beer that wasn't such when all of these, metrics were developed. So I think we're still fighting that fight of where is beer actually being consumed and what are we tracking and what aren't we tracking? I don't know how much data there is out there at all about, how many samples are served at tasting rooms. You know what I mean? But in Portland, that's, you're more likely to be able to go get a 10-ounce pour at a tasting room than you are, to go into a bar and order a proper pint half the time. So it's interesting to me that there's just this big, like you said, there's this mass of stuff that we aren't really tracking, Yeah,
and I brought this article up mostly because it's one of the it's one of the first I've seen in a while actually bringing up a bubble, but where a lot of us might think we're in our own, like even New Hampshire, we're having a lot of breweries opening up, every month or so, but this is from Colorado, where it's basically like one of the only, or like one of the beer meccas. You have your Colorados, your Oregons, and so it's interesting to see this kind of commentary coming out of a state that many would see as like, you guys are way over capacity on breweries, but them kind of Dave just kind of laying it out and saying, here's what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because obviously, we went to Portland and even that was 7 years ago, and we thought even then it was crazy because there was 40 breweries in the city center.
Like there were 90 around Portland as a whole, and
yeah. So I mean,
coming from a state that had at the time maybe 40, 50 total.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But now we're up to 80. So
And luckily, I mean, and so my argument always is there's definitely room. There is saturation points everywhere, sure, but I like the idea of having as many breweries as you can spread out over the entire state. I believe New Hampshire is doing a good job of that, but I don't know if that's on purpose or just because it just is what it is. It was cool seeing at the Granite State Fest this weekend a lot of breweries in towns that I either have never been to or B never heard of. So it's nice to be able to bring new beer fans into a town. It will bring money into the town via stopping for food at restaurants and things like that. So
yeah,
and jobs.
And jobs. Yeah. Yep. And
jobs.
And like you said, I like that it's spreading all over the place. I would rather have 150 breweries that are all across Maine than have 50 more that are in Portland. I mean,
it's kind of the same as like a beer fest. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's a community thing that happens. Like I was talking a couple of podcasts ago about Norway Brewing Company. There's nothing up there. So yeah, go ahead and make a place for a community to kind of rally around, and make a place for people to stop on their way up to go camping or doing what they're doing up there, and it makes a big difference. I really think it's going to, especially for some of these rural communities that don't have the way of life they used to have. Like they're ex-paper mills, they're ex-manufacturing centers, textile things. We've all seen breweries go into spaces like that aren't being used. I want to see more of that. So.
Sean, did you gain? I know we talked about it before, and I hate to put you on the spot, but did you gain any of that bubble knowledge from the CBC this year? Did they talk anything about? I know. Remember last year where they mentioned that obviously there's a lot of brewers, but the one thing you need when you open up a brewery is a good brewer. I don't know if there's anything like good take homes from CBC as far as opening up a brewery, or if you think your town is a bubble or anything like that. Was that
I think they briefly skimmed over it.
So it wasn't a big.
A lot of people have already heard about that, and I think it's more so, like you mentioned, that if it's good quality product and you have a solid business, that you'll be able to survive.
Right.
Yeah. I was just curious to that. Worst comes to worst, if you find yourself in Colorado, you can pull the Brian and Sean method of going to breweries that have certain whatevers, breweries that have
exactly
dogs in their logo, and then maybe on your next trip to Colorado, cats. Make a game out of it.
Well, and I will just one comment for what Carla said. If you're traveling to Norway, Maine, it doesn't look like you're that far from Ebenezer's.
There's always room. There's always suggestions.
Yeah, but that's the middle of. That was always standard for being the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's by the map or the way a crow flies. It's 2 towns over. So.
Yeah.
If
I had known that, I would have just kept going. No, kept going after stopping there. They had really good beer. They have one called. You guys talked about one earlier that had the name something Pants.
Oh, there's a beer called France Pants.
France Pants. They should get together with Norway Brewing because they have one called Mr. Grumpy Pants.
Nice. Well, France Pants is the French slang for Speedo.
Oh.
So yes, I'll tell them to do that immediately. I will tell them yes.
I didn't know that.
No. But yeah, so I put the link in the show notes. It's at the top of the list. Obviously, we'll revisit the bubble talk as we hear more. And obviously, every year it's like, man, this many breweries have opened, but it's always cool. And shout outs to Chipper Dave. I haven't seen the guy since one of the bloggers conferences.
I think he went to Indianapolis.
So that's the last time I saw him.
Yeah, it's Chipper Dave.
Yeah, Chipper Dave. So check it out, fermentedlychallenged.com. Links in the show notes.
Yep.
2 other quick mentions before we shut the show down is Carla and I were kind of fascinated, as was the entire world recently, over this app called Prisma. And it's a great job that it does with beer photos. So
pretty.
So pretty. So if you guys want to be part of our little project that we're doing, head on over to beerasart.tumblr.com. I'll put the links in the show notes. But it's basically if you have a good photo that you took with that makes beer look like artwork or a painting or something, we want to see it. Want to put it up there, and it kind of makes these breweries look good, and it's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing kind of how it can take like a beer photo that you didn't love before and make it into something like super awesome. I don't know. Like it's just I've been using it to kind of go through pictures that never made it to prime time and see what happens to them after that. And basically what it's using is crazy AI. So it's not just a filter laid on top of an image. It's AI that's trying to follow certain rules to imitate certain artists and artistic styles. And I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and obviously, it's quote unquote food porn mixed with this kind of stuff is going to be like a yes. So definitely check it out. Links in the show notes. And if you want to be, we're going to work on having other people submit things to it because why not? Because it'd be nice to have some things like, oh, I want to actually order a print of that or like make coasters out of these photos or something. It'd be nice. That'd be a cool thing. Lastly, August 4th, if this podcast goes live by then, but August 4th is going to be, or it always is, International IPA Day.
IPA Day.
So if you guys haven't had your fills of IPAs, I know there aren't that many around. You guys can find an IPA that's your favorite and get into it.
Look into that. Yeah.
I know it's especially New Hampshire. There's no IPAs in Maine. There's 0 IPAs. So
zero.
Get it on to Sean and get us some.
West Coast thing.
Yeah, none to be had.
None. But so it's August 4th is IPA Day. Is it November 4th is
Americans or Stout
Day is, and April 5th is Beer Day, a National Beer Day.
I feel like people just make up when National Beer Day is.
Oh, I mean, let's see what today is anyway. We'll just go.
That's not coincided with the repeal of Prohibition?
Oh, maybe it is. I see something about something National Beer something. Not IPA and Stout Day because I know who started I know where that came from. But the ones that are like on those like pop calendars of like today is National Dress Like a Nun Day.
So eat a grilled cheese day.
So here's what today's holidays are. It's National Homemade Pie Day. It's also National Girlfriend's Day, Raspberry Cream Pie Day, Play Ball Day. So we have our own days too. But
I should have taken a girlfriend out on a date and given her raspberry pie. Is that
or like a raspberry pie, like the technology, like the little chip.
Yeah, the raspberry pie.
But actually, on this site, it's called checkiday.com. August 4th does say IPA Day, which it shares the holiday with White Wine Day. Ooh. And Single Working Women's Day, and Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. So it's pair a cookie.
I want to know what my birthday is.
With an IPA. Oh boy. It's also Hooray for Kids Day, so don't give a kid a beer on that day. There's no need for that. It's crazy.
Give him a chocolate chip cookie.
Oh God, don't give it. I mean, if you see Sean holding out chocolate chip cookies, don't take them. Never. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Again, August 4th is IPA Day. If you listen to this and you missed out, just grab an IPA. And
my birthday is National Eat an Oreo Day.
Every day should be that. God, I don't know the last time I had an Oreo. My wife and I always watch taste test videos of all the new Oreos, but haven't had one in a while.
Do you think the pumpkin spice one will be back this year?
Oh God, I don't have the stomach for it. But all the pumpkin beers are coming out now. Do you see it? Oktoberfest rolling out.
Well, Oktoberfest I forgive because Oktoberfest is
yes.
But like I saw the Traveler, the Shandy, there was a Traveler. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not. July.
Jesus. So that's good. That'll do it. I want to mention myself. We're gonna have a show next week, but I will be back on Monday from my trip to Indianapolis. I'm going out on Thursday to Monday to hang out with a friend of mine, and I'm hoping to. I haven't been there since the Bloggers Conference where we all went out, so I'm hoping to check out some. Nice. I didn't go to Sun King on the post trip.
That was a cool one.
So I'm going there, and then I also got a list.
Ask them where they got their colored horizontal tanks from. They're from New Hampshire. They're from a New Hampshire brewery. I'll let you grab those.
Hot tip.
Well, the original brew system was from a Maine brewery.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got some good suggestions from some great bloggers and a lot of new breweries opening up there. So and also the Indianapolis State Fair, which has a beer tent, which I will be probably there because tent sounds like it's in shade, and I need to get there.
You're gonna do the tractor pull over there?
I'll do the tractor pull, the cow pie derby, the cow plop derby, all that fun stuff. But yeah, look for photos and stuff for me from Indy. I'll be taking a flight out Thursday. Carly said you're going down south. Keep an eye out for maybe some stuff. If not,
it's family first, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll try to find a good beer while I'm down there if I can.
Yep. Hopefully not some Miller Coors Terrapin. No, I'm kidding. We didn't talk about that. Miller Coors Terrapin in the house. And Shano, what are you doing? Anything this weekend?
Nothing big beer related. Yeah.
Sweet. What about like big beer related, like 12% and up?
Yeah, it's going to be a 12% weekend.
It's going to be 12% week. I knew it. It's going to be a Sean Brothers weekend. I kue it.
Yeah. I will say that if you are listening, we have a couple other articles in our show notes. There's an article about there's a third person that's been announced of leaving the executive team of Ballast Point. So there's 3 people that have now left in the past couple months. There's an article about brewery in Oregon being purchased by Miller Coors, which actually I didn't know about it until I saw this article that popped up. Innocent Gun is working with someone to put in they brewed a beer specifically for a time capsule, which was interesting. And there's an article about announcing that Stone Brewing Company has released its first beer in Germany, or first beers in Germany, and there's some interesting facts in it, such as, can you guess what is the first beer that they brewed and released from the brewery?
No.
I don't know.
Well, the first 2 beers from Stone Brewing Company.
Well,
IPA.
That was the very first.
Arrogant Bastard?
That was the number 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, all right.
And then it followed by Ruination and Cali Belgique.
Oh, wow.
Can you guess the number of countries that they're distributing within Europe?
7.
Within Europe.
Europe. Yep.
3.
17.
Whoa!
Yowzers. Are there that many countries?
So all of Europe, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
How many continents in Europe? No.
1.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so that's what's there.
Check out the show notes, and God, 150 is coming up next week, so we got to bring the heat. Maybe get Ben to put the baby down for a second. God, get on the podcast. First things first.
We're only going to have taste beers that have jalapeno in them.
Why?
Bring in the heat.
Oh, bring in the heat. 150.
I got
Nice.
a Toronto chili beer in the fridge. I get that. That's
Spiced beers only. It doesn't have to be
Spiced beers, yeah. I mean, is there a 150th anniversary thing? Let me see.
I'm surprised nobody's done like a festival that's just spiced beers.
150 is.
Sponsored by Tums.
Yeah, sponsored by Tums. It's nature. It's called nature. So maybe you gotta brew it.
What's called nature?
So you know how there's like gifts for anniversaries.
Oh yes.
150th is apparently nature.
Ooh.
Oh, nature.
That's from
Brew it is probably as close, or a wild beer.
That's from one link that I saw, so it could be not that. It's from Keora.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The show is over. Again, check the links out on SBLPodcast.com for the show notes. And again, happy IPA Day and Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, because you should be doing that every day anyway. Carl and Sean, cheers to you, and I will see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. Wait for it.